Audio Jungle.
I am the Divine Prince, Ty Emmecca, Pan-African Spiritualist, Practitioner, Author, Advisor, Elagoon, Oloye, Hoodoo, Obeya, Bokur. I reside in this beautiful and legendary, historic Treme, New Orleans, Louisiana. So join me as I share food, music, culture, tradition, the rhythms and the flavor of New Orleans voodoo. Respect the voodoo. Everyone is certainly invited to National New Orleans Voodoo Day, April 4th, 5th, and 6th. April 4th is our press conference. April 5th is our art show and symposium at Xavier University. And then our actual procession from the river through the community to Congo Square happens on April 6th.
National Vodou Day is for practitioners around the country and around the world. There will be other Haitian Ungans and Mambos participating. We will end up at Congo Square, where we will do a full-on Vodou ceremony that's led by Mami Moon, a very senior Haitian Mambo Asagwe. We have a delegation coming from Benin that will also be participating, including their head Babalao of Benin, who is the president of their national Vodun Days, and he will be doing the final blessing.
And we certainly invite all to come join us, witness, participate, certainly sponsor and donate as you will to support this powerful and historic event. Greetings, greetings and salutations, honor and respect, honor and respect, honor and respect. It is another edition of Revolutionary Hoodoo, New Orleans Voodoo Secrets and Recipes, sponsored by, powered by, supported by, promoted by NONVD, New Orleans National Voodoo Day. You are listening now live and always in archive at your leisure and convenience to the Divine Prince, Pan-African Spiritualist, Practitioner, Author, and Advisor, Elagoon, Oloye, Hoodoo, Obeya, Bokur, sharing with you in all things spiritual, mystical, metaphysical, cosmic, evolutionary, revolutionary, healing, and holistic from a Pan-African Hoodoo world spiritualist perspective, understanding that all is truly and indeed a blessing if you can just see beyond the veils, for it is all just an illusion and a test, and one of the greatest divine mysteries of this life cycle. We are sponsored, supported, promoted, and powered by NONVD, New Orleans National Voodoo Day. We are certainly counting down the days towards our Friday morning press conference at 10:30 a.m. at Cafe Istanbul, 2372 St. Claude Avenue in the Healing Center, the New Orleans Healing Center. We will discuss the spiritual and cultural importance of Voodoo, New Orleans National Voodoo Day events, and the role of Voodoo in global healing and heritage preservation. Rosine Pima Sanga, Director of International Relations in the Mayor's Office, New Orleans, Louisiana, will be joining us. Mr. Kakpo, President of Benin's Voudon community from Ouida, Benin, will be joining us. The Mayor of Ouida, Benin, Christian Hoshino, will be joining us. Certainly the President of NONVD, Nate Dubois, Denise Augustine, our culture bearer and sacred storyteller, Lilith Dorsey, NONVD creative director and author, and myself, Divine Prince, Emmecca, administrative secretary, culture bearer, and press media representative. New Orleans National Voodoo Day begins with this press conference at 10:30 a.m. at Cafe Istanbul on April 4th, this Friday, and we'll be setting the stage for a transformative, multi-layered gathering on Saturday, April 5th at Xavier University, who will host a dynamic symposium on African traditional religions and global healing, alongside our art show, our Afro ecology exhibit, and a children's program introducing young minds to Voodoo's cultural richness. The weekend culminates on April 6th with a sacred processional paying homage to ancestors of the transatlantic slave trade, followed by a powerful voodoo ceremony in Congo Square, bringing together esteemed voodoo practitioners from Benin, Haiti, and New Orleans. We certainly continue to invite the press, the social media community, all interested parties to please attend the press conference and weekend events. Interviews and media coverage opportunities are available upon request. For those inquiries, please do contact myself, Divine Prince, Ty Emmecca at 504 210 7075. You can also send us an email by way of New Orleans NVD at gmail.com. New Orleans, N like national, V like voodoo, D like day at gmail.com. And we'll be more than happy to respond to you. We appreciate your offerings, your donations, your sponsorship, your commitments to volunteer, support, and participate in this powerful, historic, heritage based, lineage based, ethnocultural based practice and tradition that we know today as Voodoo. And so we certainly appreciate our local support, New Orleans and Company, for the gracious donation and continued media support that we have access to with you. We also want to recognize WGNO TV and LBJ, who provided us with the opportunity to reach a local audience on these powerful events of this coming weekend. So certainly we want to invite those who are local and in reach of the city by train, plane, bus, or truck. But certainly if you cannot attend in the physical, we invite you to visit our website at voodooday.org, and you can find streaming tickets. Click the golden ticket at the top of the website, and you'll find tickets that can be purchased for a donation in order to live stream the symposium on April 5th, and then the actual day of events on April 6th, that Sunday. And for those of you, Daniel, Neal, and my godchildren and Lilith's godchildren and our delegations that are coming from the Pan-African diaspora, we're truly honored and grateful to have you with us and hosting in our city for this powerful and growing event. And we invite everyone to be a part. I want to also welcome my beloved, most committed co-host, the Queen Mother, Sister Tony Val Martinez. Thank you so much for continuing to show us such love and support and showing up here with us every night.
Lafia, love being here. How's everybody out there? I just put up the baddest drone footage of St. Joseph Night on my Black New Orleans Then and Now page. When I saw that drone footage, I did not believe the cultural impact, the number of people, how beautiful it was from a bird's eye view. Oh my God, y'all have to run over there and check it out. That's Black New Orleans then and now. I just want everybody to see, being as we discovered St. Joseph Night with the Italians and the Indians, they rooted in voodoo. They, with our people in New Orleans, uh, got with the Italians based on ritual. And their rituals were so much like our voodoo rituals. They joined forces, and it is amazing what it is today. Also, I want to talk about Black social media is on the buzz with the Marvin Sapp, Preacher Marvin Sapp, artist Marvin Sapp, performer Marvin Sapp's video, where he told the ushers to close the doors at what should have been basically the end of the service, I guess, since they opened all the doors. He told them to close the doors, and nobody was leaving until he had collected $20,000 from the people in there and $20,000 from the people viewing the service. Close the door and don't go nowhere. He said, y'all ain't going nowhere but to the restaurant. Which, in my thinking, that's what Black people do after church. They go eat. It used to be at Big Mama's house or somebody's house back in the day, but now it's going to the buffet and the restaurant with 5, 6 tables pulled together so all the family could sit down. I was shocked watching this video. I couldn't believe he actually got up there saying it, and was quite angry when he was saying, like, y'all gonna give me $20 and y'all gonna walk up here single file and I'm gonna watch y'all put it in a basket, and everybody paying online, I'm gonna stand up there and watch you hit that send button.
Well, unfortunately, I was not surprised. Some of you are familiar with my story. I came out of the Black Spiritualist Church and ended up in the apostolic movement, and then more poignantly, a part of this, what we now identify as prosperity ministry movement. So I've seen it from its beginnings. I've seen it. At one point in my life, I was forced to be a part of it by way of, parentage and family environment at the time, and the religious choice of the household. So yeah, I've seen it. I've seen worse, if you can believe it. I've seen worse, and for much higher dollar amounts. I've
Wow,
seen
but
people mortgage off they house, sell off they family, most prized possessions in order to, feed these prosperity memories. And before I pass the mic back, Sister Tony, my question then, and my question still is today, where are the community gardens? I see large parking lots, but I don't see land and land usage that feeds and benefits the community. I don't see any, clothing closets. I don't see any food pantries. I don't see any, developmental programs in place to teach, young people skills and abilities to thrive in America, and in business in America. But we continue to see these demonstrations, and people get worked up about them and emotional about them, and until the next one, it dies down until the next one.
I just was thinking when I was seeing the video that this is why so many people are leaving churches and going back to um old school religions, um or just leaving religion and looking for alternative and rethinking their religious beliefs. And don't care who you are and you Black and you come out with something like that on video, the Black community coming for you. They have made so many memes about this and videos about him saying that. New Orleans even has a bounce remix of Mr. Sapp saying, close the doors, close the doors. And it sounds really good. He might want to sue and say he deserved the rights to that record, seeing what kind of person he is. But what I don't understand is if the church, I understand churches need money. Churches need money too. They have bills to pay, not taxes, just regular bills. But him being in the position that he's in, to me, if the church needed money that bad, he could have cut another album, did a live version, and donated those funds to the church. Marvin Sapp wasn't even on my radar until this happened. And I went and did a little research, his cars, his house, his music, how much he worked, that he was a Trump supporter. Dude, I know all of that stuff is registered as being owned by the church. So you're not paying no property tax, no taxes on your vehicles, and all of that stuff. But to go to those lengths to embarrass and humiliate some people, because Divine Prince, I couldn't have been up in there when they say close the door, ain't nobody leaving.
You and I, and certainly a particular demographic of our community. But again, is it pop culture or is it genuine outrage? Is it entertainment? Like, Basketball Wives was entertainment and growing up hip hop is entertainment. I mean, is it entertainment or is it true, authentic outrage? Because we've seen this before. We've seen this more than once. And those churches continue to grow, continue to go on, from the days of Tammy Faye Baker and Jim Baker, to the former Eddie Long. Those churches didn't fall, so to speak, after the scandal, or did they?
They kind of failed. It took them a couple of years to come back. I know about Tammy Faye. I wasn't into too much of those mega churches and those churches that came on television locally in this city, but it's a mixture of both I'm finding. And it's some people, they honestly commenting because one young lady commented on a post I put up about it, that this was the norm in her church. That was how she grew up, with preachers doing antics like that.
That's what I grew up seeing in the Apostolic Church.
So it's a form, it's both. To a lot of people, shock and awe, because the diverse community, religious community, is seeing it, and then once they get over the shock, it's the like, oh hell no moment, and the younger people come in and they like, oh man, this dude wrong, let's fix him, and they come up with all these memes and they come up with these videos. I mean, it's just
like the latest record, like the latest cut, as we used to say back in the day, and then they move on to the next hit. We're not seeing a large enough shift in people, i.e., moving away from that system, or deciding they're going to stay within that system and then transform it into something worthy of respect. Again, where are the community gardens these churches are providing? Where are the the orphanages and the homeless shelters and the community grassroots services that people need that are being offered by these mega money generating platforms. We're just not seeing it.
That's what I was thinking. You know, growing up in the Lower Ninth Ward, growing up in communities in New Orleans, if the church needed money or the church was raising money, going between the Baptist church and the Catholic church, they did fundraisers. At least the people got something for their money. They did suppers. You know, in my mother's church, Stronger Hope Baptist Church, in their basement every Sunday, you could buy supper and don't have to go home and cook and stay down in the basement and eat and fellowship with the people. And that money went to the church. And they did raffles and stuff like this to raise money. But these mega churches, just like Joe Osteen refused to open up his church when the hurricane flooded Houston, that was awful. You know, to refuse to help people in their hour of need. And nobody didn't seem to care that he didn't do that because apparently his church is thriving. He's still on air. But what's the guy's the minister's name that do all the movies, Woman Die or Lose? I can't think of his name right now.
T.D. Jakes. T.D.
TD
Jakes
Jakes.
was accused of doing a similar thing during Hurricane Katrina.
But I've seen videos, someone that goes to his church has been posting videos of his church online on TikTok since he was associated with P. Diddy. And they got a lot of empty seats up in that church.
Yes, indeed. You had to go there.
I did. They got a lot of empty. I mean, the
Not the
first video they posted, I couldn't believe it.
Diddler.
Yes, after how big that church sanctuary was, and to see so few people in there, and knowing T.G. Jake's following and standing room only, I was shocked. And apparently it ain't coming back fast.
Yes, indeed.
People not coming back fast.
And those who are not, where are they going? I'm just curious, and certainly we may not necessarily have that answer here in this room at this moment. But where are those people going? I would love to think that, you know, as these congregations shrink and these churches close, that these spaces are recaptured again for the community, either for community gardens or for the providing of community services based on neighborhoods, based on regions, if you will, somewhere where people can come together with those resources and access those resources and share those resources within the community that makes these centers viable again. I remember a time when it was common knowledge to associate a church, a liquor store, an Asian-owned Chinese, Asian-owned cleaners or food establishment or corner store even as being the center of the Black community. You know, in many parts of America, and I've lived all over the country from East Coast to West Coast, North to South. And so we're seeing those communities, not just the building, you know, not just a few properties. We're seeing those whole communities being gentrified and converted now into these. I want to say futuristic, but not so futuristic, but forward thinking. You know, green spaces and communities, and certainly we need the green space. I can't preach nature and gardening and herbal care and medicine without supporting green space and climate mitigation and things of that nature. But we also have to do these things with the community in mind, with the mindfulness of, we give and nature gives to us, and how that becomes self-sustaining and self-supporting. I'm seeing a lot of these new supposed, new technology-based buildings. Again, the new project, in my opinion, with the sky high rent certainly that doesn't match, what we've come to understand in the last, I don't know, 50 years. And the homeless count still increasing in many regions of America, and particularly around large city centers. And there's surely something that can be done to pool the resources of individuals and collectives of individuals to the benefit of the whole, without, you know, continuing to feed the school to prison pipeline, without continuing to feed, people into this path of life that doesn't fulfill their destiny, that doesn't meet their needs, that doesn't feed their spirit. And so we're dealing with, addiction and mental health and all sorts of unnecessary imbalances and disturbances within the dynamics of our community. And if we could stop overthinking it and just pick something, something small. Start with one thing, and become good at that thing, great at that thing, and then, grow. Then take on a greater degree of responsibility. Now is the time to get those gardens on the move. Now is the time to put something in a pot. Okay, put something in a pot. If not in the ground, certainly something in a pot. And I gave four great examples on the last hour of podcast: ginger, licorice, turmeric, peppermint. Very easy to acquire plants. If you cannot get them already established and growing at greenhouses and green communities near you, certainly check out your neighborhood community garden stores where they still exist, where people are still growing and potting and planting. You might check out sometimes farming supplies will often have herbs and plants within season, but even your big box stores will typically, in the early gardening season, will have various available herbs and plants and trees and produce that you can begin to grow, often already pre-started, but those pre-started plants are often fed artificial stimulants and fertilizers, and you might find that they die very quickly once you get them home or into your environment. And so that does not work as well for everyone. And then there are others who prefer seeds, and people are now beginning to respect seeds and honor the heirloom quality and value of seeds. So people are creating libraries of seeds all around the country for the survival of plants and food and herbal medicine and the like, before man destroys it all.
Yeah.
Certainly, elderberry, easy to grow. Thyme can be a little tricky depending on your skill and where you are. Rosemary will grow like a weed.
A bush. I got a bush in my yard that even the snow didn't kill.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and it's hardy like pine. Very hardy plant. I love my basils. I usually have several varieties of basil. That's the one herb that has not come back since the snow as of yet, but I know that it will. Ginseng, love ginseng, and I love developing ginseng in the wild. If you have learned to identify ginseng and you can identify it in the wild, I keep note of it and I keep track of it. And I might go and harvest it just right when it reaches that peak. Harvest a portion of it. I don't try and remove the entire plant if I can help it. But I'll go back and harvest that ginseng as it grows in the wild. Eucalyptus, chamomile, garlic, turmeric, oregano. It's just so many different plants that are available to us for our cultivating, for diet, nutrition, meal preparation, but certainly for medicinal purposes and usage in the practice of root work, conjure, hoodoo, voodoo, whether it's with you or 4 O's. So our Afro ecological show will have plants, herbs, trees, examples, samples present, and we will share our knowledge of healing plants, medicinal plants, nutritional plants that are easy to grow, harvest, and maintain that might be available where you are and in your communities. But now is the time. Now is the season. Uh, this is the time to really get moving on getting your gardens started. D Goddess, thank you so much for being with us in the chat. Greetings, Danette. She said fish fry Fridays. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Greetings, Esperie, the alchemist. Thank you for joining us. Tariq Lopez, thank you so much. Tomcat, greetings and salutations to you and yours. We certainly appreciate you. Yes, what they do in the dark will certainly come to light. These mega church pastors ain't helping nobody but themselves, using people to live a lavish lifestyle. And again, we kind of all understand that to be a truth, and we've known that since at least I don't know the 50s. But those industries, much like government, much like other industries and organizations and systems within our community that have not benefited us greatly, still somehow manage to keep growing and keep surviving. And so, those of us who are of like mind or similar in thought, or conscious, for those who don't fear being woke or conscious, um, we've got to begin to just act on what we know and not spend quite as much time and energy in the debate of it all, in the criticism of it all, in the going back and forth, which can be very entertaining. If you like that Jerry Springer, Jenny Jones, let me see how far back I can go. You know, Ricky Lake, Phil Donahue sort of thing. I mean,
Geraldo.
Geraldo, sounded Jesse Raphael, you might like that. But, for those of us who are just tired and sick or tired of being sick and tired, it's really just time to just activate what you know, push what you know forward, and just feed what's giving you life, what's giving you light, what's giving you peace, and what's bringing harmony to you and yours. And begin to just spend less and less energy with the energy vampires, the distractions that are otherwise just eating up your time, your energy, your resources, your thought process. Greetings, Neophyte, Bokor. We certainly appreciate you continuing to come through and support us. Daniel Neal, greetings, beloved. Look forward to seeing you this weekend. And to all our locals, thank you so much for your continued support, love, and sponsorship. And I look forward to hugging y'all's neck this weekend. Greetings to Goddess Initiative. Sick and tired, sick and tired. She said her mouth been closed 2+ years now. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Oh, and that was something too. People are really beginning to take note of the lack of involvement in some of the protests and demonstrations and shenanigans and posturing that often goes on in seasons like this. Val was, giving her advice on that on last show, and certainly I support that. But more importantly, I support doing something. Those who have not just sort of pulled back from the nonsense, but are actually doing something. This most recent election was a demonstration of doing something. It wasn't a whole lot of protesting, really. It wasn't a whole lot of marching and flag and sign carrying, but people went to the polls and they said absolutely not, absolutely not.
Yep, they said absolutely not. And because my thoughts on that was because, and their arrogance, and what we heard on the hot mic from Landry, they didn't expect nobody to show up. And I'm saying they didn't expect nobody to show up. That's why the fix wasn't in. So I'm thinking the next time that they need somebody to vote yes on some foolishness, that they gonna rig it to say they won. We caught them by surprise this time.
Yes,
So next
indeed.
time we're gonna have to work harder.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
We're gonna work harder
Oh yeah,
because
they will get the pushback.
we know how they can fix these things and rig these things and say, oh yeah, we won. They didn't do that because they thought they could win it on their own.
Yes,
But
indeed.
once they figure out that we are active and watching, I don't expect them to play fair by any means. Not here in the South, at least. We know Southern politics.
Now, listen, we know that they plan, these protests and marches and whatnot for April 5th. And I believe also something's going on April 6th. We invite you to make your way to New Orleans for New Orleans National Voodoo Day. Our press conference will be on Friday. We will then have a symposium at Xavier University from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Saturday, April 5th. And then our procession beginning at the river at 9 a.m. And then we'll make our way to Congo Square for noon, have lunch, and then have a powerful voodoo ceremony until 5 when Professor Kakpo and others from Ouida, Benin will close us out with a very special ceremony. So we provide an opportunity for you to find something to do to handle your own business this weekend and be about the business of you and yours on this weekend. And we certainly invite you to stay away from the shenanigans and make your way to New Orleans and be a part of this historic event. Let me run a quick trailer for National New Orleans Voodoo Day, and we will be forward momentarily. All is a blessing. Thank you, thank you. And again, you can visit us at www.vodouday.org. That's www.voodooday.org, vodouday.org for more information. And we look forward to seeing you there, being with you there. And for those of you who can't make it to the city, for you joining us virtually. So we were talking about getting started in the garden as we are now beginning to warm up, much more consistent warm weather in certain regions. I hate to say it, but I think we're going to be in the 90s for a few days here coming soon. All of my fruit trees are fruiting, are blooming and blossoming, are full of flowers. My blueberry, which endured two really brutal winters. This past winter with the cold and the snow that came, and then maybe what was it 2 years ago we had that really brutally cold winter. So my blueberry had really gone through it. It has been hanging on, but it's really fully bloomed. Got a nice bloomed afro on the top right now, and then four of my varieties of kumquats, four different trees, four different variety of kumquats are all green and lush and full of blooms and flowers. I haven't been out and paid attention a lot, however, to bees, um, butterflies. I can't say that I've seen that yet. So I don't know how well the pollination might be happening right now, and how soon we'll begin to see fruit on these trees. But one of my bonsai kumquats I'm going to have at the Afro Ecology show at Xavier, and then some of the herbs that I like to grow. I also like to grow lemon balm, lemon verbena as herbs. Very powerful herbs that can be used with real lemon peel, which is abundant here in New Orleans. We have lemon trees, orange trees, lime trees. Once were prolific in certain neighborhoods, but you can still find them relatively easily here if you don't have one growing in your own. And I know beloved Lilith Dorsey has a community garden in the Ninth Ward. I need to really start promoting her garden more. I need to have her information up in front of me when I'm doing it so that I don't necessarily have to look for it each time it crossed my mind. But she has a variety, quite a variety of plants, herbs, roots, and trees. And we have a community garden not far from me at Bell School, run by Miss Gloria. Um, I believe it's still flourishing. I passed it a few days ago. And it kind of look a bit like a nature preserve, like a jungle, the way a good healthy garden should look. Everything is green and beginning to bud and flower, at least in this region. So this is the time. This is the time you all to get your green thumb on and begin to put something in a pot, put something in the ground, care for what you've already had in the ground in expectation of its return this year as we continue to warm up this spring, um, as we move forward in our coming year. And certainly, any good practitioner, herbalist, medicine man or woman um, should have a green thumb, something growing. Someone mentioned aloe vera. I thought it was somebody in the chat had briefly mentioned aloe vera.
I have a
Again,
lot of aloe vera, and right
oh,
now it's starting to flower. It's
be
starting to
God.
make that long flower.
Mhm, mhm.
I notice it's about to bloom.
I have so much aloe vera, and I have it in a pot. that it will at some point kill part of its off just to survive in that pot. Because again, once it hits the ground or gets into your garden, that aloe vera can take over if you're not careful. And so I take the babies out and I'll give them away or replant them other in other areas.
Yeah, I
Um,
let them take over in the front of my house, or by my front porch. And when I'm sitting on the porch, I'll actually have people come up and ask, can they cut off, some limbs of the aloe vera? And I'm like, sure, come by, get what you need.
isn't it lovely when they ask?
Yes, they
As
ask.
opposed to violate.
Mine is so close to my front door. Um, I guess that's why it's not really close to the street. But they'll come up and ask, and I'm like, yeah. If you want your own, just dig up one of them babies, because like you say, they'll take over the whole thing. And one lady was just so shocked that I would let her take one. I've been wanting to grow some for the longest, and at this time of year with the places that's selling the herbs and the plants and the rose bushes, they usually sell a lot of aloe vera really cheap. Like at Home Depot and Lowe's, you can get some nice aloe vera, and it doesn't take long for it to grow.
Yeah, you can, but it's almost like really just giving your money away because, again, it's so much of it. Once you know where it is or who has it or where it might be growing, it's often just more than most people can keep up with or control. But
Yeah,
yeah, those locations can be good for getting, pre-potted stuff, provided you know how it's being grown and where they're getting it from. Because again, if they're using a lot of those fake and stimulated synthesizers and fertilizers, that really can be harmful for some of these plants. It can be not so good for the medicinal qualities of some of these plants, and they can make them even harder to grow, in my experience, if you don't keep feeding them, Miracle Grow or other commercial products. And I really like to keep my edibles and medicinals and my plants and garden as green and non-toxic and as little exposed to you know the unnecessary as I possibly can. I mean, that's one of the benefits of having a green thumb and keeping a garden. And something I want to do this year, a bit of an experiment. Um, I want to plant something really close to the fence that will grow on the fence because I live in a pretty social neighborhood, a very social community. There's always some gathering. There's always people out and coming through. I want to plant seeded watermelon on my fence as an experiment and see how that works out.
oh, okay. When they grow to a certain weight, that might be kind of hard with them growing on a fence, because the
Uh,
weight often break the fruit off.
well, my hope is that we'll be moving them around quick enough for that to not be a problem. There's also it's not a really tall fence. We're talking like maybe 3 or 4 feet maximum in terms of a fence, but it's a metal fence, and then it's adjacent to a hilly, slightly grassy area, and then sort of a sunken grassy area that I plan to add, some dirt and fertilizer to, and create like a bit of a mound
Yeah,
just next to the fence itself. So the green part can kind of climb and get light, But as those fruits begin to grow, I want to be able to lay them, on the ground and not have the weight sort of just bear on the vine, but have them, you know, just in reach where people can actually access them,
Yeah.
if they choose to do so as they mature.
My favorite chain link fence vegetable is the cucumber because I know mostly everybody eats cucumbers and they grow fast. They make a great privacy fence and they fruit a lot. And I used to get a lot of cucumbers, so I just used to give them away on Dersham Street. My kids would come inside with cucumbers and wash them off and eat them with salt and black pepper just off the vine. They walk through the alley and see one and say, "Oh, look how big this one is," or whatever, because we had noticed it. It blends in with the colors of the leaves. But that's always been my go-to fruit, my go-to vegetable for chain link fences.
And there's such a variety too, I think, that are often overlooked when it comes to the types of cucumbers you can grow.
Yes,
Uh, just make sure you don't get that one that like becomes like a what do you call it, a loo? What do you call the scrubbing tool you use in the shower? A loofah.
aloofa.
Yeah. I think they call it Egyptian cucumber. It grows really big and really fast, but it has sort of the inner texture of a good loofah. So it's not the
Oh,
best in terms of being edible if you don't harvest them when they're really young and when they're small. But there are other varieties of cucumbers, some sweeter than others, some that are more hardier and weather resistant than others. They even have lemon cucumbers that are sort of round and yellow in color. They're oblong, but they're more round, I think, than oblong, um, and yellow in color. They
it's a
taste like,
it's a wide variety.
yeah, oh yeah. They have some that look more like um, okra, but it's cucumber. So just choose the variety wisely. Not all cucumbers are best for pickling, for example. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so choose your
And then the
variety.
cucumbers tend to be a plant that the birds don't mess with. They don't
Mm.
eat the young fruit. I found they don't eat the young fruit when you live in an area that have a lot of birds. Birds can be quite the problem when you're growing in your gardens, fruiting and vegetables like tomatoes.
Oh, don't I know it? Even your sweet herbs. Even my
Yes,
fruit trees have drawn all kind of birds and butterflies and spiders into the yard. Some of them I invite to stick around, for their benefits. Like I don't get rid of no garden spiders.
oh no, and no butterflies either.
Mm, no,
No bees, no butterflies.
we're talking about life that helps life to continue to grow in the garden, and those spiders will keep aphids and other nasty critters from attacking them.
Damaging critters.
Yeah, from attacking some of your more tastier leaves. And sage, I must always give out my my promotion for sage. There's no reason to keep killing off white sage, buying sage from these botanicas, these wrapped up bundles of sage that you can produce and create from other varieties of sage that you can grow literally on your own. Um, yeah, we started talking about keeping pests away, alchemists. I'm gonna come back and hit that again. Um, Yes, there are plenty of edible flowers. I'll come back and respond to that. Mambo Salian, WGNO TV, and if you use like YouTube TV, it may even be available on the WGNO website. The 5 o'clock airing of the news for tonight, the 10 o'clock airing of the news for tonight, and then the 5 a.m. airing of the news for tomorrow. WGNO will feature me and the New Orleans National Voodoo Day. And what I saw tonight at 5 was pretty good. And I didn't look at it until 8 o'clock because again it was available on demand at I believe WGNO.com. But I may have looked at it using YouTube TV, and that might have directed me to WGNO.com. I'm not sure which came first, the chicken or the egg, but that's how you can view it. So I know it's on demand. WGNO. Check the date for today, this evening at 5 p.m. It'll air again tonight live at 10, and then that will also go into their on-demand archive, and then it'll air again in the morning.
I would check and see if it's on their Facebook page where I can share it to my Black New Orleans page.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance. I was looking at it like literally before I came on tonight.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that when we log off to go check and see.
Now,
And
Alchemist.
here
Oh, go ahead, Val.
and here it's basically about to be 10 o'clock in a couple of minutes, and it should be on WGNO.
Yes, and so I want to address these two questions before we end. Alchemist. Something else that I use is paprika, and you can go on Amazon.com and find sources now for paprika, cayenne pepper. Um, there's some like cooking sites, baking sites that sell supplies that sell cayenne pepper, paprika, like 25 pounds at a time, and it's relatively inexpensive. And then I use a flour sieve and I sift it onto my plants when it's not, windy, or rainy. But then other times I will take it and I will actually mix it in water um, with just a little bit of honey in it or sugar in it to kind of make it stick to the plants. And that will also keep pests away from eating my garden and eating my edible stuff. Now, in terms of edible flowers, I love like lavender flowers, um, um, sweet basil flowers. Your herbs that flower, I always keep the tops. It's not a part of the herb that I throw away personally. Um, but I love the top. I love to collect the seeds from the top, and I love to collect the the flowering tops. So I always grow enough of each variety so that I can um, allow one to go to seed, and then I will collect that, especially like my sweet basil, um, really great like in the fall and right before the winter when it begins to die off. And then when it's flowering a lot during the spring and the summer, I will creatively, consciously trim it back to a certain point, leave about an inch of the flower and trim off the tops. And it will also cause the plant to spread, to grow, to develop wider branches. And I use those all for teas. Um, Rose is an edible flower. A lot of people don't know that, and it can be used in teas. Rose hips, but also rose, the petals, the leaves, the red flowering leaves themselves can be made into teas. And that can also be bought wholesale at some herbal outlets.
Hibiscus.
Hibiscus, great flowering uh, plant for teas. Yes, ma'am. So I certainly appreciate you all for being present. We can continue this conversation, if you will, on tomorrow night at 9 p.m. U.S. Central Standard Time. My week really picks up tomorrow. The Horn Brothers will be back in town for more filming of our coming docu series and film. They also will be here for our National New Orleans Voodoo Day. We still have a German production team in town who we've been filming with for the last 2 weeks. Some up and coming, new, I should say, stuff in the swamp. I'll say that some new stuff in the swamp, but they also will be capturing uh, portions of our ceremony on Sunday. So they also will be with us in Congo Square for National New Orleans Voodoo Day. D Goddess also suggests raspberry leaf. Yes, I don't know how I can neglect that one. I have blackberry, mulberry growing in my yard, and then any blackberry, raspberry, mulberry within walking distance of my house in Treme, I know where it is. One of my favorite trees is it's right at the French Quarter. It's on a main thoroughfare. It's been there since I moved to New Orleans decades ago, and I always keep an eye on it. I'm always concerned about construction, building, gentrification. Because there's so much going on surrounding that tree and surrounding the neighborhood. But they have not touched the tree. I'm grateful they haven't touched that tree. It's a little harder to reach. It used to hang lower to the ground and was a little easier to access, but it's still blossoming and blooming and producing great berries every year. So that's one of my stops. There's a parkway that they've created, Lafitte Parkway, which used to run right through the Lafitte projects. And back in the day, there were just many fruiting trees, to include these blackberry, mulberry trees, um, throughout that strip of land and acreage. Some of those trees are still there if you know where to look. Uh, Many of those trees are still there. So I just love, and I keep saying I'm gonna create a walking tour of New Orleans specifically for edible trees, plants, roots, produce, etc. I could live off of New Orleans just walking the street back in the day, especially before Katrina. So much
Yes.
was destroyed, yeah, with Katrina, and then the gentrifying came in, and for some reason, gentrifiers don't like fruiting plants, don't like plants they have to clean up after. They're worried about you tracking, fruit into the house on their carpets, and so they first things they get rid of is the banana trees, the orange trees, the kumquat trees, the misbelieved trees, which is just abominable to me. Just how could you?
Yes.
But thank you so much. I'm on a ramble now. And I'll see y'all tomorrow night. And we can talk more about roots, plants, trees, herbs, what's useful, what's edible, what's medicinal, and how to use that uh, the way grandmom and them did back in the day, but the way we may have to now moving forward and into the future. Thank you so much, Sister Val Martinez, for
Pleasure being here. Thank you for having me. Good night, everyone. Have a restful night. Don't forget, if you haven't already, go and check out A Cursed Man on Prime Video and Apple TV. That's still the only two platforms I've seen it be on. And please leave a comment and like if you watch it.
Well, thank you for that. I certainly didn't think to do that. Thank you for that.
And they also running ads for it on Facebook. I've seen coming to my news feed. If it comes in your news feed, please just look it up. And once you look it up, it's going to appear in your news feed. Keep pressing that like button every time you see an ad for it.
Thank you. I certainly appreciate that. I will, in fact, run the trailer because legally I can't actually run the episode itself, but I'll run the trailer as we close out, and I look forward to meeting you here again tomorrow at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time for more revolutionary hoodoo, New Orleans voodoo secrets and recipes, powered by NONVD, New Orleans National Voodoo Day, at www.voodooday.org. All is a blessing, and no matter what you do, respect the voodoo.
Ashe. Good night, everyone.
At the beginning of this, maybe I was more skeptical. As the days have gone on, I'm not sure what I think anymore.
I felt that maybe it wouldn't affect me if I personally didn't believe in it.
So, knowing what you know now, would you still get cursed?
I'm seeking out a curse, a hex to put on myself.
A curse could end your life. You're literally begging the devil to knock on your door just to prove to you that God's real.
He could curse you with stupidity, but we think you got that down.
Despite the warnings, I'm investigating the real-world effects of dark magic.
Looks like you have a lot of love and a lot of opportunity. You are going to cause damage to that.
How do you feel after doing this?
Evil.
That must be quite seductive.
That's the power you're calling on. The devil, right? Quite seductive.
I'm going to enter into a pact with Satan.
Señor Satán, Lucifer, presentamos a este hermano. Con tu fuego purifica.
Wyong is pretty much the epicenter of all black magic. People are very scared to even talk about it.
Y'all better not call me at 2 o'clock in the morning talking about this man is dead. I don't want to hear that.
I have this physical feeling that something bad is coming. What have I done?
You're going to have to find faith in this in order to undo it.
Everyone is certainly invited to National New Orleans Voodoo Day, April 4th, 5th, and 6th. April 4th is our press conference. April 5th is our art show and symposium at Xavier University. And then our actual procession from the river through the community to Congo Square happens on April 6th.
National Vodou Day is for practitioners around the country and around the world. There will be other Haitian Ungans and Mambos participating. We will end up at Congo Square, where we will do a full-on Vodou ceremony that's led by Mami Moon, a very senior Haitian Mambo Asagwe. We have a delegation coming from Benin that will also be participating, including their head Babalao of Benin, who is the president of their national Vodun Days, and he will be doing the final blessing.
And we certainly invite all to come join us, witness participate, certainly sponsor and donate as you will to support this powerful and historic event.
Talk to me nice, I get sensitive. Choice of your words to convey. Your intentions might mean the best, but it's in your approach and delivery. I get so dull by my triggers, probably from niggas who thought that they own me. Really consider that I do, you do, we do good on our own. Back on my throne, like yeah. Accept me at my worst, like you do my best. Better than I was last year. I've been facing tests, separate from the rest. Hope you're facing all your fears. I've been going so damn hard. It's been taking all this time. Giving up ain't in my blood. It's all in the signs. It's all in the signs. All in the signs. It's all in the signs. It's all in the signs. It's all in the signs. I'm so nice, everybody's type. Eyes on the clock of my demise. Don't you fall into the quicksand. It's better on the cement. Telling no story, no power in your past. Even if you're 30, gotta make it last. I do, you do, we do good on our own. Back on my throne like accept me at my worst, like you do my best. Better than I was last year. I've been facing tests, separate from the rest. Hope you're facing all your fears. I've been going so damn hard. It's been taking all this time. Giving up ain't in my blood. It's all in the signs. It's all in the signs. All in the signs. It's all in the signs. It's all in the signs. It's all coming down. It's all in the signs. It's all in the signs.